Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of We Come as Pixels. And today we have a very special episode that I myself and Seal are both extremely excited about. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to our co host, Mr. Seal Club 1.
What's up?
And
How y'all doing?
today we are talking about a game that we are both very, very excited about.
Oh man, I'm stoked. It
And
looks so
it
good.
looks so good, and that game is none other than God of War.
Woo woo. Yeah, I'm
It's
so hyped about this game. Oh my god.
it looks
'Cause,
phenomenal, and I'm excited about it. But I don't know if you call it God of War 4 or God of War because it says God of War. It doesn't say God of War 4, but it's
I
got
think it's just a reintroduction for a new genre or a new generation, I guess you'd say.
yeah. Because I mean, it's Norse gods. It's not obviously it's not Greek. So, but I'm excited about it a lot. So, without further ado, let's get this talk started. It comes out April 20th. Um,
Yep.
I am stoked. I was actually. It's funny because when it first released, at not released, but when it first we saw the first trailer for it at E3 2016, I was so happy. I was like, yeah, I love God of War. And then as the year went through and then 2017 hit, I was like, I'm probably not going to end up buying it because it was coming out, it was supposed to release the day after Christmas. And I was like, I'm probably not going to end up buying it. And then they pushed it back and then you wanted to do a talk on it. You mentioned it last week.
Yeah, it
And
was it's one of those games that it changed the way I played games forever.
yeah.
The first time I played God of War, like it was nothing like I'd ever played before, and I'd never really played a lot of action games before that, you know.
Mhm.
So it definitely brought me into that genre and like a bare knuckle boxing type of way, just brutal and punishing and just amazing. And the reason why I love these games so much is just they're easy to pick up, but they're hard to master. And the stories have all just been amazing
Oh
every
yeah.
single time.
Every one of them have.
And the scope of the cinematics, just everything about these games is fantastic.
And you got to look at it like it was on the PlayStation 2, right?
Yep.
So, in all honesty, it shouldn't be that good, or we get a lot, we took for granted a lot of stuff that came out on the PlayStation 2.
Well, I mean that's the thing though, is like it was at the beginning of the life cycle of the PS2, and all of these
Yeah,
big
exactly.
developers were trying to get their name in the hat by dropping really good, quality games. Kind of like the way the PS4 first started out. We had a lot of high quality games at the very beginning, and then you kind of get all the crap games later. But
And then the
um,
good games come out right at the end.
yeah, towards the end of its life cycle. But I mean, there was a lot of really good stuff on PS2, but God of War definitely ranked among my favorites
Oh yeah.
on the PS.
Oh yeah.
Like hands down, I can't. Yeah, honestly, I don't know how many times I beat it. I think I probably beat it like 10 or 15 times.
Yeah, that's the opposite for me. So I was like when I played God of War, I was just really young, right? So playing it, I had a really hard time. Uh, I could never beat, I ended up beating it later on, but it took me forever to beat the games. I always enjoyed playing them. I always enjoyed playing them. So that's what's important. Um, I remember being a young guy, like just a wee little fellow. I was really, really intrigued by mythology and all this stuff that happened in ancient Greece and all that good stuff. You know what I'm talking about? And
Yeah, I mean,
like
it made people kind of want to read up on it too, and
exactly.
and
And
brush up
God
on
of
their Greek
War,
mythology.
yeah, God of War was what fed the hunger. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it's what like really really intrigued me about it, because though he wasn't a story in Greek mythology, it's totally made up. I always thought
Yeah,
Kratos
it's a
was
totally
one
made
of the.
up story, but
I thought
it was
Kratos
put together.
was one of
It was
the.
put together so well.
Yeah, I thought Kratos was one originally, and like I just loved his story, and I love the story of like pretty much every Greek story I've ever read. I've really enjoyed. I've read the Iliad. I've read like what else
The
was
Odyssey.
the Odyssey. Can't think of it. Like I've read all that stuff because of school.
Yeah, Iliad, the Odyssey. There was also Dante's Inferno.
I never
Is
read those, but I played the video games.
Yeah.
But like
So
I read all that stuff when I was like in school, so like that just made it even better. Um, so I have to ask, since we're on the topic, what who is your favorite Greek god, and what is your favorite story from Greek?
my favorite Greek god. Um, that's kind of a hard one to say, but if I had to choose, I'd say Hephaestus, the blacksmith, is probably one of my favorites, just because of like the sheer potential he had for creating these godlike weapons.
Oh yeah, and the labyrinth. He created the labyrinth,
Yeah.
so he was a good one. I like my favorite was Artemis, the archer.
Yeah.
She was my favorite. She's always been my favorite. And then my favorite story was obviously, well, not obviously, but I really liked. I guess these wouldn't count because they're newer, but I really, really like the Percy Jackson stories.
Oh
But
yeah.
from old times, I like the story of Arachne and Athena.
I've always really enjoyed the stories of Hercules. Like his trials and tribulations and everything that he went through.
Oh yeah, those are good too. Obviously, like Hercules was great. He was like one of the main stories everybody knows about. So like you couldn't go wrong with Hercules. But like yeah, like I said, like the story of Arachne being the most beautiful woman and Aphrodite turning her into a spider.
A spider. Yeah.
That I love that story. That was a good story. Um, what is like okay? So obviously this game, I've said it once already. It's Norse mythology now instead of Greek. Um, I do not know a lot about Norse mythology. I know a few of the gods, and I know like some of the other stuff about it, like the Aesir planes, like the
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like as well versed on Greek mythology as I'd like to be, but you know, most of my Greek mythology lessons came from God of War. So
yeah, and but like a but for the like the Norse mythology, um, that's in this game. What like are you excited for like the Thor, Loki, Odin fights that are like bound to happen?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be really cool for him to face off against Thor and Loki and all that stuff. I mean, and possibly see Odin, or him try to, maybe he's got like a conspiracy. The gods are against him and his family, and um, I don't know how it's gonna play out, but so far, man, it looks
Or
really good.
the goal of the story, like you're trying to get the ashes of his wife or the boy's mother. I don't know if she's Kratos' wife or not. I assume so. You're trying to get the
Yeah,
ashes of her body, like because she died at the beginning. You're trying to get her ashes to the top
yeah.
of the nine. Um, what was the minions or I forget what it was that they said.
I'm not sure
The
either.
nine. It was the nine, like something or the other, and but like there's certain places that you would think, like there's Asgard. That's the very
Yeah.
top of the nine. Uh, Jesus Christ, I can't think of the word. Anyways, it's the top, It's the very top. That's where the gods live. That's where Odin lives. That's where Fenrir,
Yeah.
Loki, Thor, all of them live there, right?
Yep.
That being the top, are you going to have to get? You're obviously to get to the top. You have to go through there. No human is allowed in Asgard. Only the Aesir gods are. So, like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the story's going to tie into, the other God of Wars, but Kratos. Kratos was a god, anyway, as well already.
yeah, he killed.
And
Killing Ares gave him the god's power.
you know, well, he was also a son of Zeus already.
Yeah, he was a demigod, and then when he killed Ares, he became a full
He,
fledged.
yeah.
So I'm really excited to see where that goes. Um, let's talk about the struggle for parenthood that I think is going to be the struggle of parenthood that I think is going to be really endorsed into this game. I feel like this game is going to be really fun and really great. I don't feel like they're going to put on a bad game, but I feel like there's going to be a way deeper meaning behind it with the kid.
I think so too. I think this story is going to be a lot more cinematic in scope, for one, and I really think that it's just going to be. I mean, I don't know. I think it may be kind of a passing of the torch from him to his son, possibly, doing for his son what his father never could or never did,
I mean, Zeus tried to kill
which
him.
is just
So
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. Just be a father. I think that's where a lot of it's going to come into play is just him being a father and teaching his son and learning how to deal with that.
oh yeah. So like from what I've seen, it's like Kratos is trying to be a good father, which he didn't have. He didn't. Zeus wasn't there, and when he was there, he was just trying to kill him. And you got to think Zeus never had a real father either, because his father tried to eat him.
Yeah, true.
So, like, just the struggle of trying to teach himself how to be a father. I think that's gonna be like a huge cinematic part of the game. Is like because he's
I
gonna
think
there's gonna be parts of the game where Kratos is gonna feel like his son hates him because every parent ends up feeling like their child hates them at some point, even though it's not true, in most cases.
yeah.
And I just want to. I can't. I'm really excited to see how it plays out and how Kratos handles it, being a god. You know,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He didn't handle it very well last time.
he killed his kid and his wife.
So we'll see. We'll see how he does this time.
Yes, exactly. Another thing that I'm really excited to see is if they're gonna bring in Sleipnir, which is Odin's eight-legged horse that travels
Oh,
extremely. Odin, he has an eight-legged horse.
oh yeah.
I really want to see if we fight that thing. I'm sure we will, because that's like one of the biggest things.
Yeah, I'm sure we will too. And I mean, just seeing some of the creatures that they've got in store, for this game, like it's crazy, and it's a lot different. It's third person now. As it was third person before, but it's got a different feel to it.
It's like
It's
more
got a-
over the shoulder third person instead of like up in the air.
Yeah, up in the air, third person. Yeah.
It wasn't like overhead, but it was like up in the air. Like it was really. This
Yeah.
camera was zoomed out quite a bit. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, and I'm kind of worried about that. I'm kind of, I'm indifferent about it.
It'll definitely be like harder when it comes to like fighting people behind you. And like because before you could pretty much see where everything was that was in front of you and behind you. But
Yeah.
it might make some of the jumping mechanics easier though, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Because the jumping, like, not the diss on God of War, because I really like it, but the jumping in God of War, the other ones, I always had trouble with that because you could never see where you were truly going because like you were so far away. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping that that doesn't play. I'm hoping that the factor is like this will improve that mostly. Um, I wonder if he's gonna have the powers that he like left off. Like, are you gonna have the powers you left from God of War 3 still? Like, you always lose them somehow. So how are we gonna lose them this time?
You pretty much lose them at the beginning of every game.
Yeah, I know that's
You
what I'm
know,
saying.
somehow happened. I'm wondering how he came across that axe that he had. Um, that's what I'm wondering.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean,
The
I
axe that he
think that
had.
the
Like,
axe was a gift from his wife or something. I can't remember.
and I'm wondering if he's going to get his classic weapons back, or if he's
Like the Blades of
hiding
Athena.
that part of him. I don't know if he's hiding that part of himself from his son, or if or if he's just going to get them back somehow later on.
Well, I'm thinking that there's probably going to be a part of the game where you have to play as the son. Um,
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, I think it's going to be kind of like what's the name of that thing game? Eco. You know how you had to kind of have um, your NPC help you along the way,
hmm
or kind of like the way it was in oh dang it, Prince of Persia.
I was thinking like the Last of Us style, like
Yeah, The Last of Us style. That's a perfect example. Like something like that, I think is what's mostly going to be.
yeah, where
Uh,
like, but like
if
what I
you Prince
mean by
of
that
Persia.
is like I played Prince of Persia, but I don't think I played the one with I played the Warrior Within. I didn't play any other ones, but for what I mean is like with the Last of Us style, what I mean by that is you played like most of the game as Joel, but then
Yeah,
there was a part where you actually had to switch off to Ellie because Joel got hurt. I don't want to really say anything more than that because I don't want to spoil it
yeah.
for
Just
people who haven't
people
played
have.
it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if you haven't played The Last of Us now, it's been out forever. You need to go buy that game. It's like
it's amazing.
one of the greatest games I've ever played. But that's besides the point. What I mean is like eventually I think something may happen where either Kratos and the boy get separated or the Kratos gets hurt maybe something's gonna happen that's gonna force you to play as the kid instead of playing as Kratos.
Yeah,
And
I think so
I
too.
really hope that that's in it, like very as fun as it was to play as Ellie. Like playing as Ellie was amazing. So,
Yeah, I
um,
hope so too. And I think that they're a good enough studio that it'll it'll be perfection. I mean, they really don't normally settle for anything less than perfection. So
oh yeah. Well,
on these
I'm not
games,
worried about the game. I'm really not. It's not a game that I'm worried about. There are games out there that have been created that I was worried about when they came out. Like let's say,
Destiny 2.
Destiny. Well, no, I wasn't worried about that. I thought it was gonna be great. What game was I worried about? I'm trying to think. There was one that Overwatch. That's a good one. Um,
Yeah,
when Overwatch came out, I wasn't really like ready to go and buy it because it was made by Blizzard, who is known for an MMO type of game.
hmm
So I didn't think that they were going to be able to put on the type of game that they put on, and it turns out that I was wrong. They put on a great game. It's a fantastic game to play.
hmm
But as for God of War, this is one of those games where I'm not worried about it. I think that whatever they bring to the table, whatever it is, they've given us enough gameplay in the trailers that it looks good. Um, I'm not worried about what they've got in store for us. I think that whatever they have in store, it's going to be really good. May not like some of it, but for the most part, anybody who likes God of War, anybody who likes this type of game, this game is going to be a really good game. So,
Oh yeah,
um,
100%.
I, for,
Um,
I forgot where I was going with
One of
that.
the things I was wanting to talk about also is, um, I think they're switching to a more open world based style instead of a linear world based uh, you had these massive levels in the God
Hmm.
of War games, but I don't think anything on this scale,
Well, that's I'm kind
as
of
it was. I
hoping
think
that
it's
that's
going to be a lot
true,
more.
because all of the other God of Wars they're pretty linear, you know. Um,
Yeah,
like they were considered RPG, but
yeah,
in all honesty, they didn't really have an RPG factor because of how linear they actually were. Um, like there's like you could, but it was like very small bursts. Like go back to where you came from, which I think in most games that are considered RPGs is a big part of it, being able to travel wherever you want to.
yeah.
And in all of the God of Wars, they just like you had to just follow this path, and I really hope that that's not a case in God of War, this new one. I really hope that like you can pretty much do what you want with the story being there. Like, you know,
I think that would be really cool. I think also maybe having some type of weapons crafting where you can upgrade your weapons. You could do that in God of War, like you upgrade your skills and your weapons and their damage and stuff like that. But it wasn't really that customizable. It was just you collect a bunch of orbs and you sink it into them, and they would level up
oh
and
yeah,
stuff and gain new abilities. But I'm kind of hoping that you have a little bit more open ended type thing where you
like a
can,
skill
you
tree.
know, get um, get some type of fur and strap it around the handle to give yourself a better grip so that you can hit harder, or um, you know, find a certain type of gem that'll give you elemental damage, like that type of stuff. I think would be really,
Oh yeah, that
because
would
it
be.
looks like the axe itself innately has a cold damage to it because it
Hmm.
freezes enemies.
Oh yeah. So maybe like there'll be like a skill tree or something. That's what I think.
Yeah.
That would be nice to have like a little skill tree to where you can pick the skills you want and not have certain skills that you don't want, or maybe fill up the whole skill if that's really what you're into.
Kind of feel like it's definitely going to be more in the vein of like Horizon Zero Dawn or something like that.
That's what you gotta hope for though, because Horizon Zero
Yeah,
Dawn that was a phenomenal game too.
that's an amazing game.
And like that game was really well put on. And uh, as for God of War in the past with leveling stuff up, other like it was fun to play, but the leveling up system I was not a fan
Yeah.
of. So hopefully this goes a lot better. Right now I'm gonna put on the most recent trailer in the background so that you guys can see it as we talk, as we finish our like continue the conversation. But what what do you think about the possibility of Ragnarok happening with the?
I don't think it'll happen in this game. If it's something they're going to build up to, I really don't think it'll happen in the first game because I kind of feel like they want to set this up for future installments.
Possibly.
Um, and I think if they are going to build up to Ragnarok, where either Kratos is going to cause it or stop it, I think it might need to have a longer story arc than just one game.
Oh yeah, which I don't know. I feel like if they're gonna do that, I feel like Kratos' story is pretty much over. Um,
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where they're going to with this. Like, so we can speculate on it. We won't know until the game comes out, but I personally kind of feel like they are going to end Kratos' story and begin his son's story.
exact. That's what I was thinking too. Is that like this is pretty much the end for Kratos? I think that something's going to happen at the end where Kratos is going to end up dying, and that's probably where we're going to take over with his son and finish the game with his son. Which
I think so as well.
I don't want to see that happen because Kratos is great. He's a great character,
Yeah,
very enjoyable to play as. But I feel like that he will. This will be the end of Kratos. Um,
yeah, I was feeling the same way.
which I'm sad about, but I'm excited to see where they go with it.
Yeah, same. I'm ready to. And I think it'll breathe a little bit new, fresh life into the series, and I think that maybe his son will go on a quest later on to bring his father back from the dead or something. Who knows what they'll do with it.
Oh yeah.
Um, I mean, there's so many things they could do with powers from Norse mythology. I mean, when you're dealing with these powers, anything can happen.
Oh yeah, and like there's some like not only that, but there's so many different types of creatures and like if they've
Yeah.
really done their research, like I'm pretty sure they have, this game is going to be the greatest game of the God of War franchise. It's
I think it, and I'm hoping it will be. I'm not gonna put all my eggs in that basket, but I really do feel just from far that it is definitely going to be one epic.
um oh yeah, I agree 100%. It is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be really fun to play. It's not really a lot that you can really like say about the God of War franchise that is bad. You know, I feel like
No, I mean, I think sometimes the difficulty spikes are probably the only really bad thing I could say. Like, there'll be like really easy up to a certain point, and then you just have this difficulty spike where it's just like insane,
yeah, but like
you know,
you gotta think that
to be
there's
something.
a lot of the times like that like happens in games, you know, where you'll think of it being this like this is really easy, and then all of a sudden like you get destroyed.
Yeah.
Like that's what I that happened to me with Kingdom Hearts too. Like I
Yeah, that
can
happened to me in parts as well. I was like, man, this is really easy. And then all of a sudden you fight this boss and you're like, what the hell?
yeah, like in Kingdom Hearts 2 playing against I could get all the way to the end of the game.
The
Uh
lingering will and all that. Like,
well not
yeah.
that, not the extra bosses, but I mean like I get all the way to the end of the game, like right there to the world that never was and be
Yeah. And then
fine. Like
it
get
gets
I could
insane.
go through to like level 35 like with and get like my levels 35, but I could not defeat Roxas, like the Roxas battle.
Yeah. No, that was a really tough battle, even at a higher level, because I went back and started leveling up before I fought Roxas,
Yeah,
and
so like
I got up to like level 50 or 60, and kind of went back and started trying to make my way through it, and it was still tough,
yeah,
even at level 60.
yeah, it's one of those battles that's like on the hardest difficulty, and like God of War, it's pretty much the same thing. Like in the, I think it's the first one where you start off fighting the Kraken
Hmm.
or the Hydra. It was
Yep,
the
on
Hydra.
the boat. That was a
Um,
Hydra, but that's the scene that I was talking about that just kind of made me realize that this game was different amongst all other games I'd ever played. Was just how epic that scene was. Like, you're in that hallway on the ship, and then this big ass head just bursts through, and like you got to fight it off, and then you go out onto the deck, and you got these two mini hydras, and you got to like knock them out, and then climb up uh, these deals on the side, which there was no indication that you had to climb them at all. That was like the first
yeah,
puzzle solving aspect.
yeah. There's
You
quite
know,
quite a bit of puzzle solving in this game, which
yeah, but then you like take its head and slam it down to the spike, and I mean, it was just so cool to see that.
and it was different. It's something that had never been shown before, and
Hmm.
they did such
I
a good
remember playing
job with it,
a
with like the
I remember
blood
playing a
aspect of it.
demo with the PlayStation Underground back before PlayStation Underground went away.
Mm-hmm.
When they sent me a demo on the PS2 that had God of War on it, and the man, I swear I played it like 30, 40, 50 times, just over and over and over again, just loving it.
I loved it too, man. It was one of those games that like it just really, really it, like gets you. It gets you really addicted to it,
Sucks you in. Yeah, it sucks you in big time.
and the
And then once you
story.
dig into the story's so good, it sucks you in even further. The gameplay is addicting enough, but the story just really sucks you in, and
Hmm.
makes you feel uh, for Kratos and everything that he's been through.
And he's been through so much with like Ares taking over his body and killing his wife and son.
Yeah.
With him being able to see it, like that is like it's the most like I feel like that's the most terrible thing that could ever happen to somebody.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. And then Zeus betraying him right after that.
Oh yeah, and then um like I didn't really one of the things I did not like about God of War were the PSP games. Um
Yeah, I just kind of left them in my memory banks like they didn't exist.
yeah, that's kind of like what I did with Recoded. But um most of the games for most of the all the God of War games that were on console, like regular console, were really good. Like all the ones on the PS2 and the PS3, like God of War's the number installments.
The
Um,
2 and 3. Yeah.
as for like the Chains of Olympus and the Ghost of Sparta, those
Yeah.
games I could have probably done without playing personally. Um, I didn't enjoy those. I know a lot of people that I've talked to didn't enjoy those either, and I feel like the story was just like a rip off of the like twos and ones stories.
Yeah. They
And
were. They were just kind of more of like a background type story to go
yeah,
along with it.
hmm
It
and
was a companion story.
and it just I didn't enjoy those, but out of the original three, um, God of War 3, with all the gods and everything that was in it, I think like number two, I loved playing two. I think that that was my favorite one to play. But as for like all the stuff inside of God of War 3 was my favorite game overall. Um,
Yeah, I think God of War 2 was my favorite as well. Just can we talk about that first fight with Poseidon?
oh my gosh, dude.
Like,
Like
holy crap, dude! Like that, just hook, line, and sinker. The game had me right there. Like that was the most epic, incredible boss fight I'd ever fought in any action game ever.
and you got to think like it was extremely like it was hard.
Yeah, I mean it was a rough battle, but whenever you got to that point and you knock him back, and then you see Kratos just launch off of Gaia and just you know grab Poseidon by the face and slam him out of that uh, big
The big
monster thing.
Hydra, the big horse
Yeah,
seahorse thing.
monster thing, whatever it was. Yeah, the seahorse Hydra monster thing. And he snatched him out of that, and then you just see him like fly over to that cliff and shit, dude. Oh my god, that was just so crazy.
And then like killing Apollo, like the all that was right there in the beginning. You know.
Yeah, it was all right from the beginning, and that's what was crazy. Is I was like, man, this game is just like, and that's the thing about that game is, it started hard and fast, and it stayed hard and fast the whole game. I never felt like I needed to slow down or there was any slowdowns or exposition. I
Yeah, it
just
was one of
felt
those
like,
games like it was a quick game. Like it wasn't really all that long. Um,
yeah, I mean, 12 hours tops if you're taking it slow.
yeah.
But,
Um,
but it was still just an amazing experience.
oh yeah, it was great. It was phenomenal. Like it wasn't 45 minutes after you killed Poseidon and Apollo, which were back to back, that you which they weren't back to back, but like they were like 20 minutes apart, if that. Was it 45
Yeah.
minutes after you killed both of them that you actually fight Hades, and
Yeah.
like Hades like is one of the like the gods that everybody likes because he's like he sounds the coolest. Like he has the coolest name if you think about it. Like
Yeah.
not only does he have the
No,
coolest
that was a
name,
good boss fight, too.
that was a hard boss fight, taking the chunks out of his skin and
Hmm.
like
And it was a long boss fight.
oh yeah, it was so long, and then chasing down Hermes and like that whole game, it just had you going. Like you didn't know what was coming next when you first played it, but
Yeah.
it was still like extremely fun, and it was just something like I don't know how they're going to match or do better than God of War 3.
I don't know how they will either, but I'm interesting to see. I'm
Uh,
interested to see how they do, and it looks really good. Like the scenes with the giant sea serpent, man, that looks
hmm
so incredible.
Another okay, so you know how like they
Like
have
I,
the action commands and all of the other God of Wars where you press circle once you've done so much damage, and then
yeah, yeah,
I'm wanting to see if that's still a thing.
yeah. I haven't seen that too much yet. I mean, I did once when he was battling like some of the lower tier enemies, and like he did like a killing move or something. Like he would throw the axe at him and pin him to a wall, and then you walk over there and press a button, and he
hmm
would like tear him in half and grab his axe back.
Okay, so that you did see it, because I like I've watched the
Did
trailers, but
see the
I don't.
button press. Didn't
hmm
see the button press, but you could tell that when he walked up on the enemy, he had to press something
Okay, so it's
just because
definitely
there was a little bit of a delay.
yeah. So I'm guessing like there was definitely something there. Um, I didn't really pay attention when I watched the trailers. Like I've watched the trailers multiple times, but I didn't really pay attention for that, and I was that's why I was saying like I'm wanting to see if that's still a thing. I'm
Yeah.
hoping it is, cause like pressing like I remember fighting that serpent, you had to like tap the crap out of square, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you like the harder the difficulty, the faster your fingers had to be, and
Mm-hmm.
like that's really like that game right there was what like got my fingers as fast as they are for like triggers and stuff like that, like when I'm playing like shooter games and stuff like that. Like I would sit there and like
Mm-hmm.
tap the crap out of like square with my like index finger trying to get it, you know. So now my index finger is like super duper quick, and I'm like wanting to see if I still got those same skills with the God of War 4 as I did with 3, 2 and 1, you
Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready to see if I'm still up to par.
know.
You know, I kind of feel like I've been playing games like Destiny and Fortnite for so long, I don't even know what an action game is anymore.
Yeah, I know. Like even like playing a game like Kingdom Hearts isn't as hard as playing a game like God of War, and I've been trying to play Bloodborne. Uh, that's just not happening. I'm so bad at Bloodborne. Um, but I'm really really excited to see where this game's gonna go. Um,
I'm super stoked about it, man. I'm ready for it. I just want it to come out already so I can get my hands on it.
oh yeah. So
And I've got a PS4 Pro and a 4K TV. Like I'm ready to go.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't have a PS4 Pro or 4K TV, but I'm ready to play God of War. um, let's talk about some of the places that we might visit. Um, Valhalla. That's one of like the biggest thing that comes to mind whenever you're thinking of
Yeah. Well,
Norse.
Valhalla is where they go when they die.
Yeah,
I
it's the
think
underworld. It's
possibly,
basically the underworld of
possibly
Greek.
if Kratos does pass away, maybe his son goes to Valhalla to find him.
Well, I'm thinking that
Um,
maybe like I don't know the escape for Valhalla. Like the Greek escape was you had to get past Cerberus. Um,
yeah.
I don't know what the Valhalla escape is. So,
Um,
um,
I'm not sure either.
maybe that's where Kratos dies is in Valhalla. You know, um, obviously Valhalla will be like a part of the game because it's part of the
Yeah.
ninth realm. That's what it was, the nine realms. Uh,
Yeah.
Valhalla is part of the ninth realm. It's in Asgard, where that's where Odin takes care. Odin takes care of Valhalla. Um, so I'm guessing that Odin's probably going to be the final boss. Um,
That's a possibility. I
I'm
see that.
I'm thinking that you're going to have to go through Valhalla to get to Odin. Kratos is going to end up sacrificing himself to save this son, and then the son's going to kill Odin, and then that's going to be the end where the son drops the ashes for his mother. That's just it might not happen like that. Like obviously Kratos could live, and we could be going a totally different direction than what they want or what they have. But that's exactly like that's how I picture this game ending. Um, I'm really really stoked to see what's going to happen at especially towards the end of the game. The beginning I'm really excited to play through, but what I'm really excited for is the end of God of War.
The end game, yeah, exactly. That's where I want to get into, and that's where I want to get to. So like when it comes out, dude, like we're probably gonna be, in our chat parties, freaking geeking out together.
Oh yeah, same thing with Kingdom Hearts 3 whenever that comes out. Um,
Hmm.
like we play Fortnite like that. We play Fortnite together all the time. Um,
Yep.
so it's gonna be funny to see that we're not playing Fortnite. We're still in the party.
I've got my boys' videos. We got some good wins in there, yo.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely play Fortnite still. I'm not gonna quit playing Fortnite. Let's be honest.
I mean, there's just something about that game, dude. Like, no matter how mad it makes us,
You have to go
I'm
back to
like,
it. You
I'm
have to go back
done
to it.
for tonight,
Oh
you
yeah.
know?
Oh yeah. But
And then tomorrow.
as a whole though, God of War, it looks great. It sound like the music. Let's talk about the music. That's gonna be the last thing I want to speak on about God of War is the music, and then we're gonna do something
Yeah.
else at the end that I haven't. I told you about it, but we haven't done it with the other videos yet, and we're gonna do it for those videos, and then we're gonna do it for this video as well. Um, but the music for God of War, they actually sent people to the Netherlands.
Yeah.
They rented a church and they did the music for this new God of War inside of a church in the Netherlands.
That's awesome.
Like, I don't know about you, but that gets my nerd wheels going. Because like the Netherlands is the Norse. That's where like most of the Norse people, the heathens, is what they call
Yeah.
themselves. That's where most of them live. That's where the Vikings come from. That's where like the big the realms are is in the Netherlands. So for them
Yeah.
to send people there so that they could get a feel for the land and then have the people do music inside of a church, that sounds great. It's just I think that's awesome. Um,
That's really cool. I mean, if they're going to those links to make it as authentic as possible, I think we're in for something really special.
well, you got to think though, because church acoustics are great. Like you don't get
Are some of the best. Period.
like especially like ones that are made out of brick, which is what they got. Like
Mhm.
being a musician, like having like them think of that, like music is the biggest part of the world. That's the biggest thing in the world. You have music for everything. If you don't have background music and you don't have this, then it's not gonna set tones. So
Yeah.
for them to go to the length to make this as close to an actual like the sound of like Norse music, like it's so good. It's showing that they are like they put the money into this game that needed to be put into the game.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, with games like this, there's not going to be any loot boxes. There's not going to be any of that crap, because this is a story-driven game, and I am so ready for another story-driven game that I could scream. Like I'm so tired of microtransactions, loot boxes. I love the costumes in Fortnite. Sometimes I like them too much, and I end up overspending some of the money that I have just to get them. But it's
It's nice to
I
get a
want to
game
play a
that you don't have to
game,
keep paying for.
not have to keep paying for it. It's story driven, so I can play it and listen to the story and like soak it all in and just have a really good time with it. Like that's what I want, and that's what we're gonna get with this game.
Oh yeah,
And I'm super excited.
I'm very excited, very very excited. So the last thing that I want to do today in this video, this one wasn't as long as some of the ones we've done, and it's because there's not really too much to really talk about. We've pretty much touched on everything we know. Like there's some other things that are out there, um, but I want to do a rating of the games that we've done already, because I feel like getting a person who's played the game or a person who hasn't played the game, is perspective, and getting their rating on the game really helps out other gamers and when deciding what they want to purchase and what they want to play. So
Yeah.
let's start off with Kingdom Hearts. Obviously, this is going to be a whole, not per game, but if it's a series game, then we're going to rate it together. So,
Yes.
starting off with Kingdom Hearts, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate Kingdom Hearts?
Kingdom Hearts 1 or just the series as a whole?
The series as a whole.
Series as a whole, I'm going to say a 9.
9 is exactly what I had as well. Nine, being a huge
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts fan, 9 is exactly what I had.
I mean, it is a straight solid 9.
I didn't give any of the games a 10 because there's always room for improvement. Um,
Yeah.
but as a whole, I think 9, with it being my favorite game, is a really good answer, and I think that's the same for you. Fortnite.
Fortnite, I'm going to give it a really solid 8, man. There's still some problems with it, with the bloom effect and the shotgun RNG and stuff like that, but the fun factor is just really good. And it's a really good game, and they're constantly updating it. There's so much customer support um, with that game, or consumer support. It's just really good, and
I gave it
I'm
okay.
really happy with. I'm gonna give it a good solid 8.
I gave it a 7. Like you said, it's a really good game. It's really fun, and 7 is, I think, is a good rating. Um, there's a lot of there are not a lot. There's a few problems still with the game, but as a whole, this game is one of the best games I've played in a long time.
Yeah, as a whole, the game's really good. Yeah,
And it's like the not even just the PvP, but I went out and we got the PvE. When we did the thing on it, I didn't have the PvE, but now I do, and I love the PvE just as much as I love the PvP. So
yeah,
like it's a really, like, 7 or 8, definitely. There's always room for improvement, like we said, but as a whole, this game is probably the best game that's out right now, and it's free to play. So, um, as for the Destiny games, we're gonna do them separately. Destiny 1, what would you rate it?
all right, Destiny 1. I'm gonna give it a solid 6, just because I got a lot of play out of that game. Um, there were so many problems from the beginning to the end. I mean, it was never in just a perfect place. It was never just a good game. It was always something had to be fixed. Something always had to be, um, you know, picked apart and put back together and
Mm,
stuff. But as a whole, I had a lot of fun with Destiny 1. I made a lot of good friends. You being one of them. Um, and that for me gives it a good solid 6.
for me, I gave it a 7. As well. I enjoyed Destiny 1. Like, it was my favorite game when I was playing it. Um, I didn't. There was a lot of problems with it, like there is a lot of games, but I feel like the way that they tried to listen to their audience and what they tried. Bungie tried with Destiny 1. They didn't really always succeed, but they did try. So, and I
Yeah,
played it until the very end. I played it all the way to the end, and because it kept me coming back, I had to give it a high. I had to give it a 7. Um,
yeah.
there's not
It,
very
it
many
kept me coming
games.
back, but there was just a lot of frustrating
Mm,
aspects and a lot of one step forward, two step back stuff. That's why I gave it a 6, just because there was just so much stuff that could have been done better and should have been done better from the beginning.
yeah, I see where you're going with that. I like that's totally understandable.
Yeah.
Destiny 2.
I'm gonna give it a 2.
That's what I gave it. Bungie,
Uh,
you messed up.
here's the thing. It's not that it's a bad looking game. It's not that it's a bad playing game. It plays very well. It looks very well. It sounds very well.
As for everything else,
But it's not Destiny. To
it's
me, it's not.
it's bad.
And
I didn't like it.
they totally screwed it up.
uh, they took Destiny 1, they made you think you were buying an improved Destiny 1 and did totally something different. It's really bad. I don't like it. I gave it a 2. Uh, Step up the game. Maybe it'll be better later, hopefully. If not, I won't be playing Destiny 2 anymore. I'm probably not going to be
I hope
playing
that
Destiny 2 anymore.
I hope the March 27th update will fix the issues.
Hopefully it will. Maybe not, but hopefully it
But
will.
if they don't, then I just won't be playing Destiny anymore, and that's sad.
Oh yeah, for
It
as much
still
time as we
still
put
hurts
into
my
it.
heart a little bit.
Okay, so I know you haven't played Overwatch, so I'm gonna give my rating. I put Overwatch at a 7. It's fun to play. The characters are fun to play. Uh,
Just from the videos that I've seen of it and the the hype that surrounds it, if I had to rate it, I would give it a good 7 too, just because it's a huge game. There's no denying it.
I mean, for a game that's been out for 2 years and it keeps its people playing, like that's phenomenal. All their DLC's free. It's a game that
Yeah,
it's really well created, and it's fun, and there's not a lot of first person shooters that can keep its audience after I
yeah,
said this last week. Most first person shooter game most shooter games, most games die off after 6 to 9 months of playing them, and for them to be going 2 years solid with their fan base just staying at the same that it's been since the start and growing, that's amazing. Like
yeah. I
two
mean,
two years.
it's pretty incredible, especially in the economic climate that we have.
Mm.
It's pretty crazy to see like how many people are not only coming back, but how many new players come to join that game.
And
And it's an expensive game to buy.
oh, it's still, I think on the PlayStation Store when it's not on sale, it's still $60,
Yeah, it
and
is.
it's
No,
because
I
that
look
game,
for it.
it literally is like going to GameStop and trying to get it pre-owned. It's still like 40, and
Yeah,
it's because people still buy the game. People still want to play the game. I bought it on the PlayStation Store because I knew that I would never take it back. There was no reason having the hard copy when I could have the digital copy that I could keep downloaded forever and not have to worry about it getting messed up. Like
yep, exactly.
Overwatch is just one of those games that I will never get rid of. It'll always be on my hard drive no matter how much space I need.
Yeah,
Um, like I'm gonna have to delete like probably Kingdom Hearts for God of War, and like Kingdom Hearts is my favorite game. Obviously, I've said that a million times. But to make the space for God of War, I'm going to be deleting Kingdom Hearts because I refuse to delete Overwatch. Because I've beaten
yeah,
Kingdom Hearts. You can't beat Overwatch. There's just so much you can play. Um,
yeah,
and then last, we can't rate God of War 4 yet because it's not out, but we can rate the God of War series. So, for the number titles, I would give them a 6 or 7 because they're fun to play, but there is that difficulty gap. Um, and
for what? I'm sorry, I didn't hear what titles.
the numbered titles, like the God of War number titles, like 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
For those,
um,
I would rate them like a
titles.
6 or 7.
I'd say I'd say a good solid 7. I mean,
Um,
I had a lot of fun
oh yeah. As
with
for
them, so there was no doubt about that.
mhm.
They were epic. They were fun to play. They were hard. They were sometimes a little bit too easy and sometimes a little bit too hard. I felt like they had trouble getting that balance
Oh
there.
yeah.
But for the most part, yeah, a good solid 7
And then
for me.
for the PSP games, I don't even want to rate them. because
Two.
the PSP games, I don't want to rate those. So, as for that, this being Joker and Seal, it was fun doing this little talk today. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys tune in next week for our show next week. I'll see you guys then. Have a good day.